What's up, guys? Paulie Malignaggi here. This episode of Paulie TV is brought to you by the Boxing Showtimes app. You'll never miss another fight. You'll never not know what time it's on. You'll never not know what network it's on. And you'll never not know what bar is showing it in your area. I know a lot of us want to watch the fights at the bars or among people, among fans. Well, this app gives you the whole schedule, the network, and also gives you a list of bars and businesses that are showing the fight that you might be looking for. So you can go to this establishment and watch it among fight fans if you'd like. Yo, what's up? Paulie Malignaggi here for Paulie TV. Guest spot Tyson the dog over here on the stoop in Brooklyn, New York. What's going on, everybody? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think of all these discussions and all things boxing. We're going to talk about the new and improved lightweight division. I say an improved because Devin Haney was so dominant that we can obviously reason that there's no shot Kambosos is anywhere near the top anymore. Not to say that he's all the way back, but definitely not the number one guy. I remember last time I went over the lightweights earlier in the year, I had Kambosos number one on the basis that he's got all the titles and deserves to be number one, but I had Lomachenko two, and I thought that Lomachenko was still probably the best fighter in the weight class, but there's no way you can not put the undisputed champion at the top. So by that same standard, because Haney not only beat Kambosos but dominated him, Devin Haney is our top guy, and that's undisputed. He's got to be the number one lightweight in the world. All roads lead to Devin Haney. There's no titles at stake if you don't go through Devin Haney, at least no important titles. Haney is correct in calling Gervonta Davis' belt a fake belt. I've been saying that as well. Doesn't mean Gervonta Davis is not a dangerous fighter or a good fighter, but you know, if we're going to consider Gervonta Davis a world champion, a legitimate world champion, if we're going to count his legitimate world titles, we're going to, unfortunately for anybody backing Gervonta, including the network that backs him, he's not a three-division world champion. He's a one-division world champion 2 times in that weight class. He had the IBF title at 130 pounds, and he had the WBA super title at 130 pounds. Those are the only legitimate titles he's won. He's a one-weight, 2-time world champion. The lightweight division's belt that he has is not a major world title, so we're not going to go over that. You know, having said that, he's still very dangerous, and he's still certainly a top 5 guy. I still got Lomachenko, though. I still got Lomachenko on number 2. I got to be honest. He's the fastest guy to the fastest man to win titles in 3 weight classes. As far as the amount of pro fights he had when he won titles in 3 weight classes, still relatively dangerous. I mean, actually pretty dangerous. I mean, even when he had the comeback fight after the Teofimo Lopez loss, he dominated Nakatani, who had given Lopez all he could handle. The Japanese guy Nakatani. So and also Comey. As a matter of fact, he also beat Comey in a very good fight. Comey, who I still think would be dangerous for anybody, and that's why I think people stay away from him in general on a voluntary basis. But Lomachenko went at him and beat him. So I've got Lomachenko as the number 2 guy. I do think he's the biggest threat to Haney. I see people complaining about Haney's box and smother tactics. Again, these are tactics that I used to employ in my career. Listen, when you've got a fighter that's good enough, he's not going to let you just get away with that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't blame Haney for any of that. You got to blame Kambosos for not working on the inside, not figuring out a way to work on the inside. Because, again, when I fought a guy as extremely talented as like a Miguel Cotto, I couldn't just smother him and get away with it. He would find the crevices and he would force the work on the inside one way or another, and he'd make me very uncomfortable. So there will be fighters that eventually Haney will have to employ a little bit more than just that smart boxing. He'll have to tough out grit out some of his fights. And that's not to say he can't. He's got enough experience now where he's got, you know, a little bit of everything in his arsenal, I believe, whenever that time comes that he's going to need it. And I believe he was going to need it if he ever fights Lomachenko, because Lomachenko is not a guy you can just box and then smother on the inside. He's a guy who finds the openings on the inside, and also lefties in general, a little bit more confusing to smother. Lomachenko, though, finds the angles, he steps around and whatnot. So I think that fight would definitely be a bit more complicated for Haney, and I'd love to see it. I'm going to be honest, I don't see him doing that fight. I know that the Top Rank contract has a 3-fight deal for Devin Haney, and here's what I think Top Rank had in mind with that 3-fight deal, right? Because Haney moves quick, you know what I mean? He's with somebody, then he's with another guy, you know, he's with another guy, and he's with another guy. So he's got enough, he has had enough money in his career where he's not had to tie himself to one promoter, and that's good. That's an advantage to have. And so he's been able to keep all his deals short. and it's been able to make it convenient for him in the way he's moved up. And you got to play chess, not checkers, not just inside the ring, but also outside the ring. And he's done a very good job of that. Now, in that method, I believe Top Rank with their 3-fight deal, this was their intention. Just my belief here. My belief was Haney to beat Kambosos, Haney to beat Kambosos in the rematch, and of course the third fight, which was announced as part of the 3-fight deal, would be the Lomachenko fight. Now, for me, Top Rank has the deal with Lomachenko. It's just a short-term deal with Haney with 3 fights. So in their eyes, Lomachenko beats Haney. And then I believe that that's when they would be looking to move Shakur Stevenson into that pay-per-view star, where Shakur would come up to the lightweight division and beat a Lomachenko who's still at the top of his game, but a little bit fading. You know, Top Rank does a very good job and specializes in their 1-star exiting and their next star entering. You know what I mean? And they tend to time it just right, better than any promoter I've seen. And they've done this through the years altogether. But what that does is it creates an in-house champion and an in-house superstar. They usually do that very well. They didn't do that with Pacquiao. Relatively close, relatively recently. I think actually Shakur Stevenson may have mentioned that when in my interview, which you'll be seeing with him soon, my interview with him. But nonetheless, if I'm just thinking, if I put my thinking cap on, and the way I see things playing out, that's what I believe Top Rank has in mind. I don't think they care too much for Haney. And I don't think Haney cares too much for them. But what they'd like to do is get Lomachenko the undisputed title that he's been craving. And I think Lomachenko would beat Haney. But then you've got this young phenom in Shakur Stevenson who would be moving up just around the time he'd be moving up to the lightweight division. And I think it would be just at that time, maybe another year from now, another year and a half from now, where Lomachenko is just a little older, but still high level, where you could start turning Shakur into that pay-per-view star. Because if you get Lomachenko the undisputed lightweight title, he's now, already a 3-weight world champion and would become the undisputed lightweight champion. And Shakur coming up as the young phenom who's already won world titles in 2 weight classes. And you could kind of have this changing of the guard fight, which I think Top Rank would view it as such, So having said that, I believe that was Top Rank's idea, or at least a thinking pattern behind Top Rank in the way they structured these deals.
If you're a boxing fan and never want to miss a fight, Boxing Showtimes is the app you need. This is a professional boxing schedule in your pocket that keeps you up to date on what's going on in the world of boxing. Enjoy watching fights in a bar, sipping a cold one? We got you. An interactive map with your local boxing bars is available to you at any time. And that's not everything. Set reminders, buy tickets, watch official highlights, get boxing news, and so much more. Download now. Thank us later.
Having said that, though, I think that Haney will not follow along with the plan. I think he's going to beat Kambosos in the rematch, and then what he's going to do is leave them hanging and move up in weight to 140 pounds. He's still going to have a third fight on the Top Rank deal, but what's going to happen is he's not going to fight Lomachenko. I don't believe he'll fight Lomachenko. I think he'll let that fight slide. Again, you got to play chess outside the ring as well as inside the ring, and I don't think it's a good fight for him personally. I think Lomachenko beats Haney. So when I say it that way, he gets to move up in weight as the undisputed champion. He gets to vacate the titles. The titles now become open. I think Lomachenko probably grabs one of the open titles because I think he's too small to move up to 140 pounds. I think maybe Shakur Stevenson grabs one of the open titles, and then maybe you do some kind of unification between Shakur and Lomachenko. And plan B would be to still turn Shakur into that pay-per-view star, still get Lomachenko and Shakur Stevenson at the right time for Shakur's moment to blossom into that pay-per-view star and get them to fight each other, maybe in some sort of unification where they've both grabbed titles that the Haney will have vacated when he moves up to 140 pounds. Now, where does that leave Haney at 140 pounds? Who knows? They depends. They would have one fight left with Haney at 140 pounds. If I think like a promoter does, and this is sort of a scumbag way sometimes promoters think, but it's the way they think, they're going to see Haney as he's going to leave them after this fight, right? Because they're going to offer him an extension going into the third fight. And he's probably going to turn that down. And when he turns that down, because I see him kind of having a better relationship with Eddie and moving back to the zone. So when he turns that down, they're going to say, okay, this guy's going to screw us in their mind. Obviously, it's basically opinion-based of whether you think he's screwing them or not. But in their mind, they're going to think he's screwing them. So they're going to say, okay, we're going to get this guy beat in our last fight on the deal. And so that'll be interesting to see who they try to match him with. That'll be really interesting to see because it'll be Haney's first fight at 140 pounds. I think a winnable but good fight will be Zepeda. Even a Jack Catterall who was very crafty in getting robbed against Josh Taylor. Nonetheless, I think Haney would be too crafty and just be too gifted for Catterall. But it'll be a good fight. And then if they want to get him beat, who knows, man? Maybe match him with a puncher like a returning Teofimo Lopez, who I think maybe they view as more threatening to Haney. I don't think Lopez will return in the lightweight division anymore as well. So again, a lot of unclarity, not clarity, a lot of unclear things that could happen here in the deal. But those are just my thoughts as to what will happen going forward. Now, let's continue back with the lightweight rankings. I got Haney 1, Lomachenko 2. I've got Gervonta Davis at number 3, bona fide star, but I think needs to start fighting opponents that we have probably heard more about when they sign the fight, not opponents that we learn about after they fought him. You know, I feel like the last 2 opponents and even some of the other opponents Gervonta Davis has fought, we don't really know a lot about them until they fight him. So he's kind of making them into a known commodity. And they're not bad fighters. Listen, Pitbull, Cruz, and Rolly Romero were not bad fighters. But I do think that, and having said that in that regard, he's got to, jump in the mix with some of these other top lightweights that we're talking about here. Number 4, I'm gonna go with Ryan Garcia. It's a little touchy. I think he has all the talent in the world, and I think if he wants to be a fighter, he's a real high-level fighter. Sorry, we're on the stoop here, so you might hear the chatter going on in the background. Brooklyn Stoops is how it goes. Having said that, I think that Ryan Garcia is a good number 4 at this point. I wouldn't pick him against the other top 3 guys. I think that at one time he was more of a threat against them, but you've got to be willing to be a fighter to beat guys like that, because it comes down to more than talent. You may be able to match skills with them, but then there's going to come a point in those fights when you fight guys that are that good where you're also going to have to dig in. And I question how much Ryan Garcia really wants to dig in. I used to think he would want to. I thought getting up off the canvas against Luke Campbell was real proof of that, but in what I've seen him do since, which is basically almost nothing, I'm not sure yet. I've got to see more of him. He's probably doing very well with his YouTube career, and you know what? Sometimes that makes you lose hunger it takes away from your boxing career. Now, when I say it that way, we got him at number 4. Number 5 is kind of up in the air. I like Pitbull. I like Rolly. These are guys that we got to know thanks to Tank Davis. I like those guys. I'm thinking of other lightweights. You've got guys like waiting in the background who are dangerous, but I don't think anybody's going to be really chomping at the bit to fight them, like Richard Comey. I think Richard Comey fought a tough, good fight against Lomachenko, and I think he'd be dangerous to fight. But unfortunately, nobody's really going to chomp at the bit to just get in there with him, because he's fading, but yet he's still dangerous. So he could be a number 5. Number 5 is up in the air, but I think I'm going to give it to Pitbull, even though I think Rolly and even Comey are dangerous guys. Tio, I'm not going to give it to Tio because I don't believe Tio's going to return at lightweight. Honestly, that's Jimmy, the big Jimmy, we call him, the producer here of the show. We call it the moderator. Anyway. I'm not gonna go with Tio because I don't believe. I would be surprised if Tio returns to 135 pounds. I don't think Haney has a long time left at 135. But Tio, I would be shocked if I see him at 135 pounds. Also, Catterall. You know what? Oh no, Catterall's also 140 pounds. What am I saying? I'm confusing myself now between 135 and 140. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Pitbull at number 5. Those are my top 5 lightweights. You've got Nakatani. You've got again the second half of the lightweight division. The bottom 5 of the top 10. It can really be mixed and matched. Those are some dangerous gatekeeper type guys there that may be able to give a good test to these top 5 guys. But I'd like to see Gervonta fight some of those guys in the process. He fought Rolly, he fought Pitbull, but I'd love to see Gervonta get this Ryan Garcia fight. I question how much Ryan Garcia really wants to make the fight. I question how much Ryan Garcia's promoter really wants to make the fight, because you can't get options on either fighter, right? These are the kind of dangerous fights where you want options on one or the other, or it's got to be a major pay-per-view. I think it could be. Listen, Ryan's very, very popular, but does Ryan really want to fight? We'll find out, man. Those are my top 5 lightweights. Like, comment, subscribe. This is Paulie Malignaggi for Paulie TV. In review, it's Devin Haney, Vasiliy Lomachenko, Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, and Isaac Pitbull Cruz are my top 5 lightweights right now as of June 2022.
Not Kambosos?
No, Kambosos, we're going to put him at 6. Kambosos, yeah. You know what? But I can't forget Kambosos. Listen, I've been shitting on Kambosos' effort, but you know what? He's a top 10 guy. I totally went away from him. Kambosos is. I'm not going to book Kambosos at 5. He may be around the. He is among those those top 10, the second tier top 10 though. You know, there's an interesting second tier top 10. You know, you've got Linares still there, he's old, he's faded. You've got the Comey there, he's old, he's faded, but I think he's more dangerous than Linares. You've got Pitbull, you've got Rolly, you've got Kambosos, you've got Nakatani. It's an interesting second tier to the top 10, but the top 5 I think are pretty strong. You can maybe flip around Pitbull with any of the other guys possibly, but I'm going to stick with Pitbull right now. Those are my top 5 lightweights as of June 2022. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. This is a very debatable topic. For some, it's more debatable than others, but nonetheless, hopefully we get some of these matchups that still keep coming.
If you're a boxing fan and never want to miss a fight, Boxing Showtimes is the app you need. This is a professional boxing schedule in your pocket that keeps you up to date on what's going on in the world of boxing. Download now